Hello everyone, welcome to This Day. It is Thursday, it is July 11th. I'm Michael Taylor, welcome to the program. Are you enjoying the heat wave that we're in the middle of? It's going to get a little cooler this weekend, we'll talk about that in the weather. We were at the stables yesterday shooting some segments, and let me tell you, it's great that those horses out there have the shaders and the fans that they've had installed recently, because it was really, really warm out there. We're going to bring you that segment a little later this month of us out in the stables and doing all the visits down there. It's a pretty fun time. Today on the show, though, we got a great one for you. We got Golden Rain Foundation update, everything they do. Then we're going to go through the kind of a giant list of things they do, all the work they do over there, where your monies go to in terms of support of what's going on here in the community. And President of the GRF is going to be here, Jim Hopkins, telling us all that and a little more, so we'll look forward to that. Speaking of the heat, speaking of all the warm temperatures we've had, we are actually in heat advisories today and a couple days that we're going to have a little cooler this weekend. But if you're feeling the heat and you want to go to one of the cooling centers around here, well, we have some here in the village. Village Library is one place to go to. The Village Greens, Performing Arts Center, Clubhouse 4 Lounge, and Clubhouse 5 and 6. So make sure you get out there if you our air conditioner isn't running so great, or if you just want to get out there in community and just cool off during the hot part of the day and not run your air conditioning. These cooling centers are available to you, and so make sure you get out there and beat the heat in one way or the other. Let's take a look outside. Speaking of the heat, we got the hottest last day of the week, really hot today, 85 and maybe a little higher. And then we start cooling off, a nice slow cooling trend as we work into the weekend. And we'll be down to 79 degrees, hopefully, fingers crossed, by Sunday and into Monday. So a little relief from the heat, but like I said, go out to those cooling centers if it's a little too much and cool off for during the hot part of the day. Let's take a look at our sunrise and our sunset while we're at it. Here's a place to cool off down there at the beach in Corona Del Mar. Thank you, Ben Givens, for this shot. Our sunrise this morning was 5:49. Sunset tonight is going to be 8:03. If you'd like to send us a picture of cool spots around the county, around the village, hey, send them to us. We'd love to see them. Email us, lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. Make sure you include your name, where you took the picture, and we will put it in our sunrise sunset segment. Okay, we got one meeting to tell you about, lots of meetings to tell you about, and then when we come back, an update from the Golden Rain Foundation. Stay with us.
When it comes to life's most important medical challenges, where do you go? Welcome to the Hoag Institutes. Our top-ranked physicians are experts in diagnosing and treating the most complex medical conditions. Unparalleled expertise, world-class care, all within the Hoag Institutes, right here in OC.
Attention all club organizers, party planners, and those who simply love to gather and celebrate life's special moments. Are you tired of the hassle of cooking for your events? Looking for a convenient and delicious solution? Introducing our easy and convenient catering trays, perfect for groups of any size from 35 to 90. Need a larger space to host your event? Look no further than our restaurant's banquet room, the perfect venue for your next gathering. Call us today to place your catering order or reserve our banquet room for your next event. Create memories and traditions with Polly's Pies.
Hi, welcome to Pacific Financial Planners. We focus on income replacement for your retirement. We have over 3 decades of professional money management experience. We personalize a plan that's right for you and your family. You only get one shot at retirement. Don't you think you better get it right? So give us a call for your free consultation. We can do this over the phone, via Zoom, or in person.
Pacific Cremation Services offers you the ultimate freedom to become one with the salty breezes and brilliant sunset reflections. A scattering at sea is a unique, beautiful way to honor the life of anyone who chooses to be cremated. We help you plan the details and understand what to expect. Choose from our 3 simple plans and let us help you start the process of healing and life celebration. Contact us at pacificcremationservices.com to create a personalized service at sea today.
The Golden Rain Foundation here in Laguna Woods is responsible for a lot of stuff. I'm going to rattle through just a few things. We're going to touch on them all in a second here. 7 clubhouses, 5 pools, 2 different fitness centers, equestrian center, all these trails, 2 garden centers, 2 golf courses, tennis complex, plus the fine arts and crafts facilities. And Ben, you oversee it all. I want to welcome Jim Hopkins to our program. He's the president of the Golden Rain Foundation.
Thank you,
for
Michael.
joining us.
And you forgot and a partridge in a pear tree.
Right? I couldn't. I just the list. I would do the whole 10-minute or whole segment, with you. So welcome to the program. We want to kind of go through a lot of the things that and more. Some of the things we talked about here on this major list, on this mega list.
Yeah. And thank you, Michael, for giving us the opportunity to talk about this. One of the things as board members, we're always dealing with issues and problems and all those kinds of good things. And yes, they do need to be resolved. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we need to always remember is while we spend time dealing with that 5% of issues and problems, sometimes we forget the 95%. Mm-hmm. So 5% occupies 95% of our brain.
Right.
So
it's easy to dwell on the negative and not think of, when you drive through this community, when you drive through Laguna Woods Village, as an outsider, I don't live here, I've driven through, I've seen a lot of the locations doing stories and just visiting the areas. It's beautiful, it looks well maintained, it's quiet, it seems safe and lovely, and so there's a lot to offer here in the community. But like you said, there's that 5% that it keeps you guys busy. That's for sure.
It keeps us busy, and it keeps me gainfully employed. And by the way, we do not get money for this.
Yeah, employed as a.
Okay. There are actually some people that stop me in the hall and say, "How much do they pay you for this?" And I have to say, no, this is volunteer.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought I'd recap. This is a 55-plus gated community. Mm-hmm. It's been here 60 years. And by the way, we'll be celebrating 60 years, I believe, in September.
Yes, yeah. Okay. That's the big anniversary celebration.
It was set up as one of 4, Ross Cortese was a developer, 4 so-called affordable resort-style living for seniors under a shared cost concept. Right. What does that mean? It means that you can provide a lot of amenities, some of them paid for, but not fully paid for by the users. Mm-hmm. And by doing that and charging every resident a per man or per month, you can have everybody satisfied. So it provides for just a fantastic community here.
Right. It's a service, and like the postal service or the park service. Yeah. You pay to go in, sometimes you pay for stamps, but it doesn't cover everything.
It doesn't cover everything. So it's an honor, but it can be a challenge to deal with that. With 18,000 residents, 3.4 square miles. As I said, there were 4 of them set up, okay? Of those 4, okay, our GRF fee is actually the second lowest. We're second to Seal Beach. We're at $230. The DRF fee is $230 per man or per month. We're at, Seal Beach is at $215.
Okay.
Okay, and when you compare amenities,
right. This was the second. Seal Beach was the original, and this is the second in terms of leisure world communities, and they went big down here.
And our location, you can't beat it. Okay?
Absolutely.
And so you already mentioned all of the clubhouses and all the things we do. The History Center, the library, 4 pools, all those kinds of things, the fitness centers, those things that we, quite honestly, sometimes just take for granted. I know myself, I don't use as much as I can. Right now, I guess my amenity is governance, okay? And I do have some fun doing that, although it can be challenging at times. But garden centers, arts and crafts. We also engage with 88 Saddleback affiliated college classes.
Right, right. The Emeritus uses a lot of those facilities because why not? They have your amazing facilities and everything's kind of built in and being supported here. So Emeritus comes in and says, hey, for instance, let's talk about one thing, the ceramics area. There are kilns in there. There are molds. There's multiple rooms. The clay. That's an expensive, fun hobby for our folks to be able to come in here and just be able to use, right? Yeah. And some of that has to be paid for. You're not going to charge every resident the actual cost of what it takes to maintain those areas.
Yeah. And we actually have residents that will donate some of these items to us. So we're very fortunate in so many ways, and that's why I thought I'd take the time. And we've got some challenges, okay? But I thought that I would take the time this time to show ourselves, okay, to be grateful for what we do have, rather than focus on the things that need, slight adjusting.
Sure, sure.
And one of the ways we all participate, all right, is through governance. Okay, and that's a critical thing. The trust, the Golden Rain Foundation set up a trust. Okay, that trust is the basis for actually the 4 of the organizations like us. Like I said, the Seal Beach, Walnut Creek, and Silver Spring, Maryland is the other one. They were all set up with a trust. That's the foundation. And so since 2016, when PCM moved out, okay, and we set up VMS, okay, we've been self-governed. And that has its own challenges.
Right.
Its own challenges. As a result, we've got 5 corporate entities that we have to work with, right? 5 of them. And we have 47 directors, all of us residents, okay?
Yeah, all of them come in with their own experience and opinions about what should be the direction of things.
Yep. And that itself can be a challenge.
Right.
Can be a significant challenge. But we've been operating this way for 60 years, okay? And by the way, we didn't always have 3 mutuals. At one point in time, we had over 50 mutuals, okay? Similar to what the other facilities have, the other
communities. Yeah.
Other communities, that's the word I'm looking for. The other communities have. For instance, Seal Beach has 16, Walnut Creek has 23, and Silver Spring has 29.
Wow.
All right. And so they function in a slightly different way, even though the trust and all are basically the same. They function in reality in quite a different way, because we've got 2 very, very large mutuals and 1 mutual called the Towers, Mutual 50, the Towers. With 47 directors, we have to be, as they are, collaborative versus hierarchical, okay? And sometimes that creates all kinds of issues, but that's what we do. We try to collaborate. Because our responsibilities, GRF responsibilities, are these amenities. And the others deal with the mutuals.
Right.
Now, we interface, because obviously the people who belong to the mutuals, us, okay, also use the amenities.
Right.
So there has to be a collaborative effort, and we do our best to accommodate that.
Yeah. And I think, the thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize the network of complication that goes into making all of this work. Like you said, you have to work with all of these folks, make sure everybody's, and you're also supporting an entire community in terms of the services that are provided, the equestrian center, the golf courses, and all those kinds of things that everybody has access to and that can benefit from.
Yeah, I mean, some of the more obscure, I call them obscure because I don't use them, some of the obscure amenities, lawn bowling. In fact, I had the president of lawn bowling, because I show up one day and say, hey, I talked to you about this once before, and I was amazed that he had remembered, because lawn bowling is quite honestly something I'm not familiar with in terms of entertainment and leisure time. But it's pretty big, it's not small. We actually have lawn bowling tournaments here.
I've been down to that lawn bowling area, and it's immaculate. It's wonderful. It looks like you could hold a community down there just on the space it takes up.
Yes, and many of these are world-class facilities. Our table tennis is a world-class facility. Okay, so our bridge club entertains world-class competition. So. We're not small.
Yeah, it's not something stuffed in a closet. When you guys, the things that are here are really the high end of everything. And I think there's an appreciation for that from the people who are using it. The lawn bowlers, I can't imagine they're no more than thrilled with their facility in terms of the size. When you go somewhere else and see a lawn bowling facility, it's like, this is nothing like the one here.
Yeah, that's why it's called resort style living at an affordable price. I mean. Again, we have our things we have to deal with, and that's where the governance comes in. But I think, I like to stop and take stock of what we do have, okay? Because I deal with, or the boards deal with, I'll call it issues and problems and things to move forward. Not everything is an issue, okay? We've had some great initiatives. The ERP is one. I won't go through an explanation of that, but that will transform the way we do business. Is kind of the underpinnings of all the administrative systems. Okay, we've changed a few things around in our planning system, how we do planning, financial planning. So there's a lot of little, I'll call it strategic things that we've implemented as GRF that have supported the structure and governance structure as well as our amenity structure that we don't even see. We just changed the way we are starting to price some of the priced amenities, okay? Before, the pricing used to come from the committee involved in the specific operations. Now it's going to come from finance, okay? The recommendation will come from finance. And every fee will be reviewed within a 3-year period, meaning some fees will be reviewed every year, some fees every 2 years, and some fees every 3 years.
Okay.
What this does in being centralized with finance affords the opportunity for our total shared cost to be looked at on an enterprise level rather than amenity by amenity. And so we think that's a good thing for the community.
Yeah. And talk about that. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but the grandness of the work that you guys have to do to kind of cover everything that GRF covers. There's not I can't imagine there's a day that doesn't go by where you're not thinking about multiple areas that need attention, that need to be improved upon, they need to talk to, work with committees on. It's just, it's a grand undertaking as a volunteer.
Yeah, it is, and thanks to all the volunteers, okay? The committees, our committee chairs, the people who work on the committees, and by the way, those committees include not only GRF members, but mutual board members, as well as participants in those activities.
Right.
In other words, the residents. So we make everybody involved in that. And so we have, what is that, about 14 or 15 committees, regular standing committees, that we use to get the input from residents and make certain decisions relative to those operations and those amenities. And so it works well. Nothing's perfect because we're people, but it works extraordinarily well.
Yeah, and I think that one of the interesting things about the committees is that they really take the deeper dives that the board members just don't have the time to do, which is the reality of that, right? I mean, you can't, they take hours and hours, multiple meetings before they come to you with a presentation. And they've covered like, okay, maybe this isn't the best way, we're going to do it this way, here's why we're doing it this way, and by the time it comes to you, you guys are saying, okay, you hold those committee recommendations with esteem in terms of the weight they carry.
Absolutely, and the key there is that's where the community gets involved.
Right.
Okay, the community residents get involved at the committee level. And I know many times they think that GRF is making, well, we may make the final decision as a board, but the active activity and the suggestions and the influence is really at the committee level.
Right.
All right. Yeah, GRF may make a different decision based on its overview, but the committees are so vital and so important. So I urge everybody to get involved in the committee of your choice or committees of your choice, because that's where the action is. CAC, Community Activities Committee, big one, Finance Committee, Mobility and Vehicles, the Broadband Ad Hoc, which is actually today a closed committee. But all those committees are the lifeblood of what this community is about.
Is there certain frustration, and I don't want to dive down into the minutiae too much, but is there certain frustration sometimes when you as a board have taken the recommendations committee, all that work's done, and then someone maybe comes to a meeting and says, why are you doing it this way, who hasn't been in part of the process? Why did you make this decision? And it's like, oh, gosh, I wish I could go through hours and give you a detailed answer to this question, but here's, the makings of it got here from square one, and we're talking about now you're on square 52. This is, this is how we got here.
I'm not. Yeah, there's a level of frustration there, but I've been on the board for a while, so unfortunately, it's to be expected. The phrase is, well, I didn't know about this.
Right.
And, well, you feel like saying, and many times our board members will say, well, we've been talking about this for 6 months.
Right. And when the change comes,
yeah.
when change is going to be voted on, or fees increase are going to be voted on, that's when it grabs people's attention, because they heard, hey, I hear they're going to make a change to the hours somewhere, change to the fees. Well, we didn't do this on a whim kind of thing. And I think that's the thing that a lot of folks don't understand, is by the time they hear it, this has been something that's been going on for months, if not a year or so, in terms of the decision-making process to get to that point.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately is to be expected. So you listen, because be honest with you, everybody that gets up there at a GRF meeting has something to say, and we do listen. We listen intently. That doesn't necessarily change what the committee has done, but it is something that perhaps may be considered.
Absolutely. In terms of all the committee work, you do a little bit of committee work. What are some of the committees you serve on in terms of like the dives you take? Because as a board member, you're in some of these committee areas. Yeah,
before becoming president, I was part of the Information Technology Advisory Committee, and I was part of the Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee. In fact, chair of each one of those. I chose to keep that position on those two because of the criticality and importance of those two, and some of the technical aspects of it, both business-wise as well as the technical part of it. So I thought, since I had a better transitional knowledge of it, that I should keep those and see it to the end, or at least, to the end. And it's worked out, I think, with the ITAC committee, which is the ERP, that's what we've been talking about.
Right.
I think we're well on the track to having that entire thing completed, probably sometime towards the end of the year, maybe into the first or second quarter. But it's going to transition the administrative processes within VMS, and therefore serve the community a lot better.
Like we mentioned before, that's where the real work gets done on the committee level. What would be your recommendation to folks who want to get involved, but maybe they don't want to run for a board seat? Is committee work kind of a place to start for people to get a real understanding of the work and the governance that goes on?
Absolutely. So even as a resident, you have a lot more involvement. There's a lot less formality to resident participation. For instance, in a GRF board meeting, you only have a certain time based on a certain subject to talk about it. In a committee meeting, there's more give and take. So when you have a special interest in a particular amenity or operation or service.
There's landscape committees, there's security committees, there's the technology committees. If you have an area where you're in questioning things are going on, that's a place to jump into, right?
Absolutely. That's where, and when you think about it, 18,000 people can be involved in running their community. That's unheard of. And yet we accomplish it through the committee system.
Absolutely.
Okay. The key here, though, is to stay informed. Okay.
Right. Yeah. That knowledge is power, that's for sure.
Yep.
On one of our slides here, we want to talk about influence, GRF management, amenities, and kind of a continuation of that.
Well, I encourage everybody, because we have elections every year, okay? And effectively, each board could turn over approximately one third every year. So it's important that everybody participates. So it's important if you're going to run for a board position, and I encourage people to do that, because that's where you really get to serve your community and see the impact of it. Right. First is to learn. Okay, there's a lot to learn. Okay, and then come with an approach of serving. Not necessarily to patch something up or to fix something or join the 5% that occupies 95% of our brain. Okay. But to come in and try to influence the direction of a particular amenity or any other area that you feel like is important. But keep in mind, you're dealing with everything, not just that one thing that you think is important.
Right, and there's a historical knowledge that goes, like you said, if there's turnover every few years, you don't have let's address this. No, we actually did that 5 years ago kind of thing. So I think there's important to have continuity as board members that run for re-election. There's a good reason for that, and that continuity can stay in place, or people who've at least served on committees for a few years and then they run because they understand the makings of everything.
I'm glad you brought that up, Michael. That's invaluable, okay? We've had situations where people have come in with no background, no experience.
And zero institutional knowledge of how things work.
And unfortunately ascend to key leadership positions, and that can cause some havoc. But it's important, though, as you said, to continue to be involved. when we have training for all board members, the GRF sponsors training, in the trust and in the governance process here, we have an attorney come in and give us a tops-down view of what we have here. But a key to all of that, aside from learning all of that, is to stay informed as board members, as residents, okay? And there's so many ways. Yeah, team up. And by the way, I'm going to when I send out my newsletter today, I'm going to give you a link to Team Up. That's where you are able to see when every single meeting happens, whether it's a committee or a board meeting. All you have to do is, maybe you can learn, click on it, okay, and then put it actually in your calendar, specifically those areas that you are concerned with. We have TV6, thank you.
Right here.
And we have Granicus, the internet, website. After broadcast meetings, we actually, many of them are on YouTube, okay? So what's up in the village? Every Friday, okay? I send out a newsletter once a month. And of course, attendance at all meetings. Mutual meetings are key. That's actually, besides the committees, that's where the action or your input to those actions actually takes place.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, Jim Hawkins, president of Gold Rain Foundation, thank you so much for joining us today. Very informative and wonderful. Hope to have you back soon.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure to be here.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.
Seniors fear running out of money more than death itself, and the number one mistake you can make is underestimating volatility, which can derail your retirement. For 35 years now, I've coached seniors to financial independence by using two simple rules. Never take big losses and create income along the way. It's your financial future. Call now to get a free risk analysis to ensure your investments are protected, and we'll send you our Safer Money System, 949-219-0692.
Who is RadNet? You've probably heard our name and seen our commercials, but you still might not know who we are. RadNet is the largest provider of outpatient imaging services in the United States, with over 8,000 employees and almost 400 imaging centers in 7 states. Likely, if you have had diagnostic imaging, you have experienced RadNet's high-quality, cost-effective imaging services. With 35 years of expertise, RadNet is leading into the future with advanced technology and the very latest AI technology. We are positioned for the future of healthcare. RadNet, leading radiology forward.
And welcome back. Before we go, let's take a quick check of the weather. And again, it's going to be warm, so use those cooling stations we talked to you about earlier if you want to get out and cool off midday or so. 85 today, 83. Then we have the temperatures kind of nice. I don't think we'll need the cooling centers over the last part of the weekend. Should be pretty great out there. Hey, tomorrow on the program, we want to welcome Wellness in the Woods, and we're going to have a segment from Sports Corner, so stay tuned for that. That's going to do it for this edition of This Day. For all of us here at Village Television, we hope you make this day a great one.